Now to one veteran's inspiring journey across the finish line. Terry Verlein is a former Army sergeant and Vietnam veteran. She just became the first paralyzed American to successfully finish the New York City Marathon. Verlein became paralyzed from the chest down in 2011 because of a disease that targeted her brain and spinal cord.
She walked the entire 26.2-mile distance with the help of the ReWalk robotic exoskeleton. The 65-year-old is the first veteran in the world to complete the marathon using this device. And Terry Verlein joins us on the set, along with Andy Dolan. He's the Vice President of Marketing and Reimbursement for ReWalk, the manufacturer of the robotic device. Thank you both for being here. Terry, thank you for your service. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, we were just remarking how inspirational you are and how inspiring it was to see you participating in the New York City Marathon. You walked the entire length of the marathon, which I couldn't do, and I've got, you know, full use of my legs. What was that feeling like for you to cross the finish line?
Oh, boy. That's really hard to put into words, but ecstatic. I had mixed emotions, good and bad. Good being that I was doing something that I never thought I would ever be able to do, and sad for those that can't do it. You know, hopefully someday, you know, we'll have more devices like this to get people up and moving around, especially the kids.
It took you 3 days. I don't even know why you'd want to embark on this. I'll tell you why, because in just chit-chatting with you, you do plenty. You swim, you do all kinds of stuff. You actually don't need an additional challenge in your life, but you wanted to take this one on.
Yes.
Why?
For the kids. My twin sister was a principal in a school out in Central Islip, and when I was visiting her, recess would come and the kids would go out to play, but those that were physically challenged couldn't go out in the playground. They had to stay back in the nurse's office, read a book, a coloring book, because the playground is not accessible. School budgets being what they are, they can't finance, they can't justify putting in a playground for a child. It has to go to books. So I figured, okay, I'll do the ReWalk, do the marathon, and put it up for GoFundMe and stuff like that, and whatever money we get, hopefully we'll get enough to put at least one playground for the kids.
I love it.
I love that so much because you're right. It's you know, children who see you and find themselves in a situation where they perhaps may not be able to feel themselves able to compete at the level that you're able to compete will see your story and they'll see what you're able to do and they'll draw inspiration from that. And I think that's just a beautiful way to think about it. You're the first veteran to receive a robotic exoskeleton from the VA. How does it work? And what kind of training was involved in getting, because you've had it now for a number of years.
5 years now.
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
The training consists of going to the VA 3 days a week and doing an hour training per time. The first thing they taught me was just to stand up. Because when you're sitting in a wheelchair for a long period of time, standing up, sitting down, your blood pressure drops and stuff like that, so you have to get your body acclimated to that. Once you got that done where your vital signs are stable, then you take steps, one step at a time. They teach you to get your balance, and what they do is they test you how far forward you can go without falling, how far back, how far left and right. All those parameters are put into the computer on my back. So now ReWalk knows what's normal for me and what's not. After about 2 weeks of doing that, I was able to actually press the button and walk, and took a few steps, and the rest was history. By the end of the month, I was walking with nobody holding me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So Andy, it looks like this has to be kind of customized for the person that gets it. How many of these contraptions are out there?
Sure. So over 500 are actually in clinics or personal use. The majority are actually in personal use. People like Terry use them at home in the community every day, and particularly a growing community is the veterans. With that VA coverage policy that Terry mentioned, people can get these. And that's the message that we can get across: is that U.S. veterans have access to this device. They just need to contact their VA. So it's growing. So that initial number includes a number of the research centers that study the device, clinics where someone can go and trial it and they'll fit it to them and then receive their own device once the coverage comes through to insurance or the VA program.
Man, it just seems so futuristic, and I'm like, the future is now. You've had this for 5 years.
Right.
It's great.
So how do you, Andy, go about figuring out who is going to be a recipient of this remarkable technology?
Sure. So we actually work with, and I mentioned the VA in particular, that we have 170 partner training programs across the country that we train them to train them. So we as a company are specialists in the device. We rely on physical therapists and those in the physical medicine space across the country to identify and train their patients. So we work with the programs, train them, and as people contact us, we reach out to the VA programs and recommend people go there. Then once they train and we get the approval from the clinical team, we'll ship in a device that's configured for them, sized for them, and let the VA team do the training process to get them out in the community.
Mm-hmm. So, Terry, I'm watching you kind of walk across here to get to the side of the desk. You can tell that it's not particularly easy, and obviously there's, we were talking earlier about, it's a physical challenge, but that physical challenge is linked to the mental, emotional challenge. Not everyone can do this.
No.
You got to be pretty disciplined.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what helps is, I was skeptical.
Yeah.
There's, especially when you're newly paralyzed, you get hit from all these different people. Oh, I have this, drink this, and of course that, boom, 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 boom. This was the only company that approached me and never once asked for a dime or my insurance or anything like that. They purely are into getting us up and walking. It's, as scared as I was and apprehensive, as soon as they put the device on and I was able to take that first step, that was it.
You knew it.
I knew it didn't make a difference how many hours it was going to take me or how long, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I was standing. I was standing on my own 2 feet. I could look people in the eyes. I could hug them and touch them. That you can't do in a wheelchair.
I feel like that's the same discipline that leads someone to maybe, I don't know, finish a marathon, run for 3 days. You were talking about all the support that you received while you were participating in the marathon from other runners who
Yes.
slowed down to support you.
Slow down, stop, talk to me, telling me I was such an inspiration and stuff like that. I mean, it was phenomenal. And then along the sideline, they were doing the wave, Terry, and wave. I was like, and the best was the kids.
Yeah.
The kids, like, they thought I was RoboCop, a cartoon character. One little boy had said to me, how come, why am I wearing this? And I says, oh, because my legs don't work. Why don't they work? I says, I got sick. Well, didn't you tell your mom that you were sick?
Oh.
And I said, oh, my mom wasn't there. Well, didn't your mom teach you to dial 911? And I says, yeah, she did, but I forgot. Well, that's not good.
No, sometimes you got to be your own 911, right?
Yeah,
and
so-
clearly you have been.
Terry, just talking to you is so inspirational, and hearing your story, and just even something as simple as you saying, being able to look somebody in the eye
Yeah.
when you're in a wheelchair is life-affirming and life-changing for you. What is it that you want people to know about folks who perhaps find themselves in a situation where they think they can't accomplish something that seems out of reach or beyond their ability to achieve? What do you want them to know?
That there is nothing that I or anybody, the things that I did prior to me being paralyzed, I still can do. It's just finding another way of doing it. And, don't give up. The first couple of times, it's tough, but eventually you'll figure out a way, especially if it's what you really want to do. And you'll be surprised how many people are out there that are willing to help. Can I get this? Do you need help? I mean, people think that society just isn't there anymore the way it used to be, and I beg to differ with you. There isn't a single place that I have been that somebody has stopped. Do you need help? Let me get that, or and I find that very amazing.
When's the next marathon?
I have to regroup.
All right, that's understandable. Spoken somebody who's never done a marathon or a
Yeah.
half marathon or
Yes.
anything close to that.
Yes, me too. Terry, thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Andy Dolan, thank you as well very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.